What's up, everyone? Hell Comics Gang, and today is not a draw stream day. I mean, that's weird because we're gonna be doing something a little bit different and test the waters on this. So, if you want more of this, please let me know down in the comments, and let's get the show on the road. So, first, I would like to bring someone out. That actually had two people in the background. So let's all give a hand to Tanner.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
And also let's give a hand to Max.
What's up?
And I need to fix that mouse there. How's it going, everyone?
It's going good.
Good to go. Went grocery shopping today. Bought some new tubes for cigarettes. I'm solid. I'm good for the week.
Rock, ready to rock. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So like I said, this is not going to be a typical stream that I do. This is going to be more of a, as the title is, comic topic talk. I'll think of something better.
We'll get something snappy. Don't worry.
Yeah. So on this on this particular episode, I'm going to bring up a topic that is in comics. It's something that's probably hasn't really been talked about. If it has, we're still gonna talk about it here anyway. And today's topic is: do the heroes make the villains? So, I don't think that's really the deal. What do you all think?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think the heroes make the villains. In a lot of storylines, it really just depends on the storyline of what you're trying to tell. Because, like, most villains exist, and then a hero rises to meet that villain. And that's what happens in Mary Machine Gun. All the organizations are corrupted. And her own order is corrupted, and she ends up having to fight against her own order because there's a lady that's running the corruption of the Templar Order.
Yeah. If you look at some of the heroes, it's mainly tragedy on their own ends. Like, for example, some of the more well-known villains, the Vulture. He went villain when his project got signed over without his notice. Like he literally signed on the dotted line without realizing that he just signed over his part of the company, which took everything from him.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that, like Tanner was talking earlier backstage, that the Joker kind of doesn't exist without Batman.
That's true. There's someone told me that there's many different types of villains. Like for example, Tanner, you mentioned the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really, in his example, and this is actually one of the good examples. He didn't really exist until Batman I'm not saying accidentally pushed him into the bad because that's not really what happened. He just kind of fell in when he was kind of backing away from Batman.
It really really depends on which storyline you start
Yeah.
believing, because there's one bad day where he just had a really terrible day and lost his mind and became the Joker. Then there's Batman pushing him into the vat of chemicals, and then there's, I don't know, it's like the Joker said in one of the issues, I can't remember which issue it was, but he said in one of the issues, it's like sometimes I remember it one way and other times I remember it another way.
I've heard the multiple voice.
Yeah, but I look at the Dark Knight Returns, and in it, Bruce Wayne has been retired for X amount of years, and the Joker lay dormant as a result of that. But he basically shows back up again once Batman is back on the scene and everything. And
well, the Joker is basically the polar opposite of Batman.
yeah,
He's chaos incarnate, while Batman is order.
True.
So
I mean, they're each other's yin and yang for sure.
For sure. I mean, and that's design. That's by design.
They both have a side to a coin.
Exactly.
I like what you did there.
Little Two-Face reference.
But yeah, but there's also another example, and this falls on that the hero didn't really have anything to do with it because, well, I don't think he was even there. Doc Ock, his lab exploded. I can't remember exactly what the story was. So if anyone can help me out with that, that'd be appreciated. It was when his lab exploded, and the tentacles were fused to his spine.
Yeah, he had him on. I think he had him on, and the lab exploded and it fused to him, or something like that.
Yeah.
It was.
I know that's how it was portrayed in the movie.
Yeah. So I mean,
Well,
it might be.
well, in the movie, Spider-Man was pulling on the cables that powered the machine that was making the artificial sign. Again, he wasn't at fault for Doc Ock becoming the villain because the chip on the back of his neck got destroyed. So he lost control. He lost control of the arms, and the arms started controlling him.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
I mean, they're just like there's tragic heroes. There are tragic villains too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then you got people that you kind of like, are they villains? Like, Dr. Doom. He's one of the biggest villains for Fantastic Four, but in his own home country, he's a benevolent dictator.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes care of everybody. Everyone's taken care of. There's no homelessness. There's no poverty. Everything works out great. It's a super wonderful place to be, even though he's a dictator. So it's just kind of like, is he a villain or is he not a villain?
I always felt that way about Magneto.
Yep, Magneto's another one.
Because really, it was just a different point of view to a more militant take. And I think as a kid, when you're young, dumb, and full of it, you gravitate more towards based on their ideologies and everything. He was more Malcolm X to Professor X's Dr. Luther King.
He did the comic book version of him went through the crap again. I know the name of it, but I can't remember what it was called.
What, the Holocaust?
Yeah, the Holocaust.
Yeah. Yes, he was in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And so the comic version of him was also in the Holocaust.
Yeah, he's a Holocaust survivor.
So yeah,
So you really see him as this tragic character. You know, he's lost so much. You know, he doesn't want to see that happen to mutant kind, and thus he becomes this more militant villain.
Yeah, I mean he follows that adage that the Jewish people came up with never again.
Mhm.
And then he sees it happening to mutants, and he's like, you know what? I've seen this before. This is bad. It'll end up bad for us. So let's fight back before it becomes too late.
so that would be the aspect of a villain not thinking that he's a villain.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And those are the best villains. The villains that think they're doing the right thing are the best villains.
Right.
I think so too. You know, it's like that old saying, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You know, I think you can use that for a lot of these characters. Just pave the hell out of that road.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think? They're awfully quiet over there.
Well, I don't know because right now I don't see though StreamYard doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me if anyone's watching, but right now, who cares?
It doesn't matter. They'll watch it on the replay.
Yeah, they'll get it.
I'm here. People will watch.
Yeah.
Damn Skippy.
But yeah, there's a lot of. But yeah, there is. I'll admit there are some heroes that did cause people to go to become a villain, and it was through means of that certain villain trying to achieve a goal that the hero stopped, and it was probably either to you had to stop one man's goal to say save a town or save a city from exploding. Even though the villain thinks it's not his or her fault, but they will blame the hero for their sorrow.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. That happens a lot too. That the villain just ends up having. I mean, they're not a villain to start with, and then the hero stops them from achieving their goal, and then they just kind of have a beef with said superhero, and that works a lot in manga and anime, really, because there's kind of like this trope in manga and anime to where the villain becomes a good guy eventually.
Yeah.
Yep. The enemy.
Dragon Ball Z, like Dragon Ball Z, they did it. They did it in Record of Lodoss War. They did it in Ranma 1/2. I mean, they did. It's like it's a trope. They use it all the time, and it's a way to keep the story going. I don't know if you guys have seen Record of Lodoss War, but Ashram,
Oh God, yeah.
badass. Dude
Yeah.
was badass. And then he joins Parn on his side, and I'm like, Parn's a fucking pussy. You know, Ashram's cutting people in half from like a mile away, and Parn still can't fucking keep a hold of his sword. I'm like, come on.
Oh yeah, classic.
But yeah, there's also let's go over to one of the more tragic villains. One that I thought, again, he lost everything, It wasn't because of the hero, because again, the hero was never around, and Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. I mean, his wife is terminally ill, and he freezes her and tries to find a cure for her, and Batman has to stop him because every time he tries to find a cure for her, it's something that ends up being illegal.
That's
Yeah.
right. When he first finds the cure, he ends up becoming a villain himself. When he falls into, I think it was again another vat of like sub-zero temperature
It
coolant.
was like liquid nitrogen or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Which
Something of that nature,
which then for the rest of his life he had to live in
The air conditioning suit.
an air conditioning suit that pretty much was the only thing that was keeping him alive.
Wonder if he's got to change the filter on that thing.
Probably.
Oh shit! I got to change the air filter.
Oh man, not again. Starts smelling like mold.
Like, okay, where's the AA batteries?
Or how about this tragic villain? I mean, Skynet. You know, it's not his fault. He's created AI, learns at a geometrical rate, realizes, hey, you know, us humans, we're not doing a good thing for the planet. So he just targets some ICBMs to blow each other up.
Yeah, I mean,
That's also true. A computer can become a villain, and one big example is Skynet.
Yeah, or the I don't know if it was be a villain or if it was more of an antagonist, but in that movie with Matthew Broderick and he's the computer, it's War Games.
War Games, yeah.
Because the computer was just doing what it was built to do, and he was the one that caused the problem. You know, he was the one that targeted or triggered global thermonuclear war. But at the end of the day, the computer was the one who really did stuff. So I mean, if it really wasn't for the actions of Matthew Broderick, then nothing wouldn't have happened because the computer would have been doing its own thing. So I guess technically he created the villain in that one.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, I would say so.
But the villain was sort of just doing its own thing. It was doing what it was programmed to do, and it was programmed by humans. So, is it really a villain? Really a villain because it was.
It was the hero the whole time.
Well, I mean, at the end of the movie, spoiler alert if you haven't seen a movie that's like 40 years old. But
I'm pretty sure I'll get you on DVD.
The computer just says, hey, there's no way to win this game. The only way to win is to not play. And then everyone's like, yeah, this makes sense. Okay, good job. The computer figured it out. Which I don't think a computer would do. Not back then. Didn't have enough AI to make a decision like that. But it was a movie.
I don't think we're there yet. I mean, I do think that we are at a point where AI is trying to replace story writers and artists. They're not going to replace us, but still.
What they call AI,
it's
really isn't AI.
No,
it's just algorithmic programming, and it's not.
I'm not gonna lie. Some of the art is good, but I don't really see it as art unless it was like physically done, even if it's on computer.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's like my buddy Pete says. It's like if somebody was just using it to do some silly stuff, like take a photo of your family and AI it up and stuff and make it look different and do some different things with that. That's okay. I don't want to take away people's fun,
Yeah.
but when you start trying to replace people in an industry that is already experiencing low page rates for everything that they do.
Manicore.
What's up, Manicore? For
What,
everything
brother?
that they do. Billy Power Max. What's up, buddy? Guy follows me around, I swear to God. He's in every chat when I'm on a show.
But this is actually the first time that the two of you are on my show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and now he's here.
He's always been here.
I know. Billy's always on. What was I talking about?
Talk about AI, not ruining
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Fun.
AI is shit. I don't want to ruin people's fun with it, but when you start trying to replace people in an industry that's already sucking, that sucks. That's a shitty thing to do. Now, I don't think AI art will be good enough to do sequentials for a while.
It's really not, because I've seen what AI art has done, and what they'll do is that they'll show like, say I want let's say I want a panel of Batman walking down the park, something like that, and it gives me like four different versions of Batman and four different versions of the park.
Yeah.
You take one of those panels, doesn't matter which one, and you put it on the 11x17 paper or a Photoshop page that you have, and then you ask the AI, okay, now I want Batman getting in his car outside the park. Well, again, you're going to get four different versions of Batman, not guaranteed that it is the same Batman that you just picked up.
Yeah.
Or the same environment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's
You
what
know,
I'm saying. It's not good enough for sequentials yet.
No, it's definitely
And
not.
I don't
How
think
much you write into it.
I don't think it ever really will be ever for sequentials, because it probably is not going to learn that.
I mean, never say never. You never know.
I don't know where shit's going to be in 10 years.
Yeah.
Though people, I have heard people that they're using AI art to sell and claim that they did it and just wrote their name on it or something like that. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people doing that. There's a lot
That
of
happens a
people.
lot.
come on.
But I mean,
Anyhow, where I go, and people are talking about AI. Hey, we were originally talking about if
villains.
Talk
hero
about villains.
And then a villain became AI, and then we started talking about AI.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah. Because AI is currently the villain of the art industry.
That's true.
But I mean, it's not AI as much as it's just a plagiarism bot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it is.
I mean, I played around with it to see what it was all about.
Oh, we did it on Larry's show. It was so funny, dude. I searched for Turd Burglar of the Apocalypse, and it had like this homeless guy all like curled up in this ball, and they had like these three turd nuggets in front of him with sticks sticking out of him, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's never gonna. I don't think it's really gonna give you anything that you're really asking for anytime soon.
Well, I don't know. Some of those people can get pretty good results out of what they do with their prompts, but
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
I use it for concept imagery and such as
See, for that's what a lot of people do it for. Is like they come up and they say, "Hey, this is kind of what I want. Give me some options so I can use it for inspiration."
That's
That's
what I
cool.
ended up doing with it. You know, it's a tool. So I mean, I use it like a tool. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not great at coming up with. You know, I write science fiction, but when I have to draw, you know, my own stuff, you know, I'm not good at coming up with all these ships and things like that. So I mean, I've
Yeah.
used the AI, you know, to, you know, come up with some ship designs, you know, real quick. And then I'm like, oh, cool, I can use that. Yeah. And then I draw from there. But, you know, I'm not like superimposing, you know, that art and calling it my own or anything like that.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
That's pretty much what it is. It's only just a tool. And people in major companies are trying to use it to replace the artists.
Well, one thing Ben Dunn of Antarctic Press said is he's like
He said all that.
Yep, he said all that. He said the cat's out of the bag. It exists. You might as well accept it. You might as well embrace it, and you might as well use it. Use it as a tool, but don't use it to like say you did it.
Yeah,
because that's ridiculous. You
well,
didn't do shit.
You know, I created this organization. It's like a military type organization. I noticed that I could put in prompts and it would design military patches for me. So I use it, you know, to do that, like create a land, air, and sea faction of this military, you know, group that I've created.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. I was like, you know, it was giving me all these different options, and I got to like play around with it. No, add wings. You know, this would be cool. You know?
Yeah,
but once again, it comes back to not saying, you know, I'm not calling it my art. You know, I go back and I redraw everything. You know, once I have what I'm looking for.
Yeah. All right. Back to the topic.
Back to the topic.
Yeah. Yeah. We went from.
What are some other killer villains? What are some other killer villains? We've gone over.
Somehow we went from heroes making villains to Skynet to now AI art.
It's open forum. Sabretooth, yeah. I mean, he was part of Weapon X, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
So, I mean, they created that villain.
Well, was he a villain before he was in the Weapon X program?
No, I don't think so. I think he was, well, unless you want to.
Well, you know, if you go off the origin storyline, you know, he's like the illegitimate brother of, or the Wolverine is the illegitimate brother, you know, or something like that.
Remember. I haven't read.
So they're related and they hate each other, and you know.
There was something. Well, again, all right. So this isn't a very good movie, and if you know what movie I'm talking about, it's the movie called Wolverine.
Yeah.
The reason why that's not.
Which one was that? Was that the third one?
It was the one where they had the I want to say knockoff Deadpool.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
In that movie, Wolverine and Sabretooth they're brothers. Like, I think they're trying to make him into biological brothers.
Yeah, it was like, God, I haven't read that storyline in so long, but I
I
mean,
don't.
remember in the comic, like he was basically the illegitimate love child of like this wealthy family, and then the mom or the wife, and then the groundskeeper, and the
Yeah.
groundskeeper's son was Victor Creed, and that's why they both have the healing factor thing, is because they're related.
You might be right. I mean, I quit reading the Marvel books
Yeah.
in the 90s, so
I haven't really read the story. I've watched people reading it because I don't think my local comic shop has it, and lately I haven't been picking some of the stuff up due to what was been going on in the mainstream. This is what happens. And this is what happens when you put when you put certain stuff in that fans do not like, and they get all picky choosy.
yeah,
But
they certainly. I mean, but you got to be picky and choosier now, especially now with
yeah,
inflation going up
Even
and
more
everything's
so.
more expensive. I mean, it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, Kickstarter's dying off. There's not as much people putting money out," and I'm like, "No, Kickstarter is a niche market. It is a it is a boutique market, and it is a thing that is for people that have expendable incomes,
Mhm.
and not as many people have expendable incomes anymore. I mean, for fuck's sake, I drink so. I'm sorry, I don't know if you can cuss on
go
your
ahead.
show.
There, there's certain words I would not allow, though those certain words are kind of pretty much obvious.
Yeah, but I
But
mean,
saying words like fuck or shit or whatever, that's fine. Just
all right, cool. So for fuck's sake, I don't even know what. I mean, Coca Cola used to be like $3.99 a 12 pack, and now it's like $8.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. That's like one of my vices, and you like doubled and almost tripled the price on me.
It's highway
That's
robbery.
just crazy.
yeah, everything's gone up in price.
So
And
with
that
that going
brings
up,
us to our other villain, Commerce. Commerce, what a horrible villain.
inflation is the villain. It's just
Inflation
like,
is the real villain. Yeah.
But yeah, so it kind of goes both ways. Heroes do make the villains, but it's unintentional.
yeah, it's
In a
And,
usually
lot of ways.
unintentional. It's
and
usually unintentional. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know many heroes that intentionally create a villain, because then they wouldn't really be much of a hero if they did that.
that's true.
So I
Uh,
mean, there's unintentional creation of villains. There's tragic villains. I mean, and then there's
they're just villains.
yeah, that are just psychopathic villains. Like in my book, Mary Machine Gun, there's a character with Ophelia, and she's like the main villain. Um, and she's just this old witch. I mean, she looks young because she's all the people who drank from this thing called the Amaranthian pool, which keeps them young.
Hmm.
But she's like this ancient witch who's just sick and tired of everything and just wants to burn it all to the ground.
Oh, you
She,
got those people out there. That makes sense. You got the
she
villains that
wants
just
she
want to
wants
watch
to.
everything burn.
I mean, she just
Which
wants to take it over and burn it to the ground.
are there any villains that we know of in the comic or any movie media that likes to see the world burn?
Oh, the Joker for sure.
The Joker was like that. Yeah.
That was
Well-
like his main thing. I mean, Alfred even said that sometimes people just want to watch the world burn.
Well, someone told me that the Joker, he mainly wants attention, and
Yeah.
and the person he wants attention from the most is Batman. That's why Batman and the Joker can't really you can't separate them because that doesn't really work.
Well, as we were saying before, they're yin and yang. They're
Yeah.
each other's yin and yang. I mean, you got to have them together because, I mean, even the little dots on the inside, like Joker's got a soft spot for, I mean, even though he's a psychopath about it, he's got a soft spot for Harley Quinn.
Mhm.
So he's actually nicer to her than he would be to anyone else. And then Batman, when you had like the Dark Knight series, he went pretty brutal. So his little dot on the inside of his black dot on the inside of his white side
Yeah.
was the Dark Knight, you know. And then
Yeah.
Batman has gotten more and more and more brutal over the years.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's gone from pow, sock, biff, bam to like kicking people through walls.
Cars with machine guns. And,
Yeah, I mean, Batman doesn't use guns, but the car does.
yeah.
Don't worry, the bullets are made of rubber.
Hey, that can be just as painful.
They're not going to kill you. They're just going to hurt you really, really bad.
Depends how close you are.
That reminds me of a thing that someone did on YouTube, where it was they made a version of Batman where he's stupid, and with every villain with every goon he came across, he ends up killing them, but he thinks he's knocking them out, and they're going to sleep.
Have you
See,
seen
that's funny.
the Bat Metal videos on YouTube?
Yeah,
where
I've
it's
seen
like-
Yes.
where they use the Death Clock songs and they make the video to them. It's the same guys that do Adult Swim. But
Yeah, I've seen those.
that shit is hilarious, man. And I mean, the one where he's trying to bring the Joker back to life.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's funny.
It's Bat Metal 2. Just look it up.
Yeah.
You have to watch it. It's,
Right.
it's really good.
I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna look it up and show it on here because I.
Oh, no, you don't have to.
No, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I was just saying, when you get time, just look it up.
Yeah. So yeah. Again, and what's another villain? Let's try to think of one that it was unintentional by a hero.
Unintentional by. Where's Doc?
Yeah. we talk.
I sent him a invite and he's not there.
Did he say he was coming?
He said he's about 45 minutes. He's about 45 minutes away from his home. He's not sure he's going to make it, and
Ah.
that was 5:36 p.m.
Huh.
And I sent him the invite at 8:07. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he went to sleep and forgot or what.
Yeah, he's probably asleep by now, his old
Yeah.
ass. Almost 10 o'clock where he is. He had his, he had his fucking early bird special and went to bed.
He's already for special. Yeah.
See, I know a lot of X-Men villains, because that was my comic growing up. Because between that and like Batman, I could talk about Batman villains all day long.
I read a lot of horror comics growing up. That's really what I read. Just like, because like when I was younger, I found a box of books in my basement, and it was like they were just sci-fi books. So I was reading all this Isaac Asimov and all this crap when I was like 9. I didn't understand most of it, but I'm reading it anyways, because some of the stories were interesting. I could understand enough. And once I got down far enough, I realized that there are magazines underneath these books. So I started looking at these magazines, and these magazines were Vampirella, Creepy, and Eerie.
Oh man,
They were Warren books. So I started from Vampirella #1 and read all the way through Vampirella 15 or whatever it was. And I ruined those books. I don't know if my dad was trying to keep them in good condition or what, but I just tore them books up, folding them back, flipping them around.
No.
Like
Oh.
I was 9.
Oh.
These books were like porn to me. But
Yeah.
I read a lot of Creepy and Eerie because that's what was there. And then that led me to Vault of Horror and all the different horror books, and that was really kind of my jam. That and 2000 AD stuff.
Oh man, yeah, I love some 2000 AD.
Heavy metal.
That's oh god, yeah, heavy metals. I got a whole bunch of those myself. Yeah, but just kind of thinking about like traditional American comics though. Like
Yeah, I mean, tragic villain. I mean, I think we've gone through the hero. I mean, Batman's mostly the hero that generates the villain. I mean, I guess you could say Professor X kind of generated Magneto as a villain.
Well, back when Professor X was able to walk, him and Magneto, if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, they were close friends.
Yeah, they were super close friends. They were colleagues, I think.
yeah.
And when through the time, they both wanted what was best for the mutants. And obviously, Magneto had his point of view that mutants should be the dominant species in the world. Professor X believes that humans and mutants should coexist with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really like I don't think they really fight over it, but they had an intellectual discussion about it.
Oh yeah, it was definitely part of the. Xavier knew early on that if certain things would happen, that Magneto would become Magneto.
And I believe he was trying to convince Magneto that the way he is looking at it,
and he did. Like
he was trying to convince him that there are a lot of bad humans out there, but not all of them are bad.
But that's why Claremont had to turn him into a villain again, or give him a reason to be a villain again, because they wrote him to the point where where you saw the reason, in Xavier, and it actually became part of the New Mutants. He was teaching the mutants for a time, so they made him a good guy, and then come time for X-Men #1, and Marvel says, "Hey, we want him to be a bad guy again." You know,
How many number
Yeah,
ones
I mean
did he
he
even have?
followed the the
that
the whole
nuclear sub.
storyline, the storyline of the villain becoming the good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think isn't Magneto kind of good now?
I think
I,
right now they're on the island. I forgot the name of the island is. If anyone knows it, please put in the chat.
Yeah, I don't
Krakoa.
remember. I don't read it.
It's Krakoa,
Yeah, Krakoa,
and
that's it.
oh, okay.
right now, I think currently right now, uh, Magneto and Professor X, they're both back to be friends, and they're both being ambassadors to the mutants.
I'll take your word for it because
I,
I am
I
so
think
far
because
Yeah,
behind.
I haven't read X-Men since X-Men #1 when Jim Lee did it.
Yeah.
I had that book, and then I was like, this isn't the X-Men that I knew.
yeah,
So I just
well,
kind of tossed it to the side.
one of the things, Dillard. You know what?
Oh, shit.
Oh boy, Dillard.
Okay, you know what? I need to send him a link too. Get his opinion on this.
Yeah, let's get him in there.
Let's see.
Yeah, let me take my dog out real quick. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
You do that.
And there we go. All right. The link is been DM'd to you, bud. So yeah, I haven't read much. I haven't learned much of it, but it's gotten to the point where the mutants cannot die.
Okay.
Like they literally, like they'll die, but they'll just come back. But they'll just come back. Have you seen? I think it was called the Eighth Day. Have you seen that movie?
No. No, actually I haven't.
All right. So to explain what's going on here, in the movie The Eighth Day, it follows the actor Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Okay.
and
You
he
mean
played.
there's a Schwarzenegger movie out there that I didn't watch? Interesting. Okay.
And he plays this dad that owns his own business,
Mhm.
which is flying helicopters to up to mountains so people can snowboard down or ski down or whatever,
Okay.
kind of vacation or business stuff. And everyone, I want you all to give a big hand. Dillard,
Well, well, well. How's it going, Steven?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Radio voices arrived.
Time to start the show. What are we talking about?
We were talking
Villains.
about does the hero create the villains?
What? No.
Well, sometimes it does happen. I mean, that's pretty much what we've come down to is sometimes it does happen. Like, depending on which Joker origin story you follow, Batman knocked him into the vat of chemicals, which turned him into a villain. I mean, he was already a bad guy.
Because before that, he was a fine, upstanding citizen.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
he was already a bad guy, but I mean, he wasn't the Joker,
Oh, so is the question: Does a hero make a villain super?
Uh,
But then we also went on along we figured that there's such a thing as a tragic villain. Something bad happens to them and they become a villain, like yet another Joker origin story, One Bad Day. You know,
Yeah, a failed comedian become has to do something for the mob, and he ends up becoming the Joker due to misunderstanding.
Yeah, because all fine, upstanding citizens take jobs for the mob.
Don't act like you've never taken a job from the mob before.
yeah, you haven't worked with the mafia yet?
God.
What kind of rock you been living under, dude?
Oh shit! Let me go turn my AC off. I forgot it was on. It just kicked on again, making a bunch of noise.
But yeah, with Joker, I think he was a tragic villain and a villain created by Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on which origin story you want to go with. It's like, as I said before, the villains, the Joker said sometimes he remembers it one way, other times he remembers it another way. So they can always play with. I mean, his origin story. They've never given a definitive Joker origin story.
Yeah, that's true.
And I really hope that this Joker 2 and Joker movie is not trying to set up a Joker origin story of kind of like doing the One Bad Day thing.
Someone told me that that DC has finally given Joker his real name.
Huh.
And everyone, everyone, please put your hands together for. Where have you been?
I figured you'd be in bed, Grandpa. What the fuck are you doing?
Shut up.
You went to the early bird special. You should have been asleep 2 hours ago.
That's the guy that's 5 minutes younger than I am.
All right, sorry about that. I'm back now.
Welcome back.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, right, if you're a villain, you're going to be a villain regardless of the scenario. Now, you may not actually be titled villain, super villain, whatever, but if you live your life the way that kind of, which is what my book kind of explores, is if you live your life unapologetically, you have your opinion about something, and you know what? Doggone it, my opinion is correct, and no matter what you guys say, I'm going to be doing what I feel like doing. You're going to become the villain. And now it's all because it all kind of takes place in layers, right? Like varying degrees of severity. And you can have
like
your
onion.
Yeah, like an onion. You can have just your surface villain, right? A guy that, hey, every now and then I take a job for Maroni. Mainly I work on the docks, but every couple of months I take a job where I go and I got to be a heavy, maybe beat some people up. I'm a henchman status, right? You're still a villain. It's still okay when the hero comes out of nowhere and punches you because you're a villain. Or whether you go through the full tier and you say, you know what, I'm running things around here. I'm the big bad villain. I've sold my soul to the devil for magical powers and whatever, and I'm a super villain and wear a cape and everything. You're still a villain.
So
Yeah, well, what about contractors working on the Death Star?
What about them? What about them? What about the grunts that just cook? What if they just cook for the Nazis, right?
And then they got
What
blown
about
up by this farm boy, from bumfuck Egypt.
the dude was a welder. His only job was welding.
His job was welding for the Reich.
He wasn't hurting anybody. Fucking farm boy flies in and blows the whole damn thing up.
Whether you're the guy that's picking up the shells, or you're the guy that's feeding the troops, or you're the guy out there pulling the trigger, who's responsible?
Someone had to take care of the trash can.
Exactly. You're all responsible. You're all culpable.
But to Doc, we're talking about, does the hero make a villain, or does the villain? There you go. Does the hero make the villain, or does the villain always destined to become a villain. And then we've kind of determined that there are such things as tragic villains that kind of become a villain because of circumstance, or there are villains that are created by the hero, such as like when Batman threw the Joker in the chemical waste in one thing. But
More
usually when that
inadvertently.
happens, when that usually happens, it's kind of inadvertent. So, what is your take on it?
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about something. I just watched this yesterday. It was like the gruesome execution of Rebecca somebody or another. She was a prison guard at one of the concentration camps. And apparently she was a particularly sadistic and cruel one. And obviously, she picked people, singled them out to go into the gas chambers and this, that, and the other. Obviously a bad guy, villain. But before the war started, she was a clerk, mild-mannered little clerk. So something somewhere in her psyche, triggered by her environment at that time, drove her to become some kind of a monster.
I wonder if she was Sagittarius.
But notice there was nothing in the story about a traumatic event. No one particular impetus that drove her to become that.
Yes,
I have
sir.
a question. In the movie, does it go out of its way to explain that she was a clerk who was a good person?
Well, it was a documentary, not a movie, and it was not that long.
What does it say?
So the only background they had on her was that she was not really anyone of note, just a typical functionary. So, yeah, she might have been at home kicking puppies or cooking children. We don't know. We don't know.
Because again, what you do before you do your atrocities has no. I mean, she went from a clerk to a security guard. Same deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's what she was doing while she was doing those things.
Right.
Was she always have that in her? I think she did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are certain environmental factors that can take something that is latent in certain people and just uncork it.
Yeah.
We've all seen people get power crazy when they get a little bit of power.
Like, think about it this way, right? If you take off, Max, if you take off your headphones and your shirt and your pants and your underwear,
Please don't.
and you're stark naked as the day you were born. No, but I really, really think about this, right? Really
Okay.
think about this. Take off everything you have on you that makes you you in the modern era. And you throw on a loincloth made out of bear fur. And I plop you into the middle of the Hungarian forest.
It's a little homoerotic there.
There is nothing different about you now than the person that lived in barbaric times. Same exact person. We're all still humans.
Yeah, but I mean, that brings up nature versus nurture.
Well, there's actually a unifying theory on those.
Is that something we don't want to talk about?
There's a unifying theory between nature and nurture that every person is born with certain core needs. The need to be free of pain, the need to be safe, the need to love and be loved, blah, blah, blah. You have 4 engines that are always driving to create how you meet those needs. That's your education, your environment, your examples, and there's a 4th E. What is it? Environment, education, examples, and experience. So breaking those down, experience, anything you do that you live through. Education, anything you learn, doesn't matter where you learned it. Environment, who you surround yourself with, what is your society like, and then examples. Any person living or dead, real or fictitious, that has impressed upon you something that you admire. So when you have those core needs driving you, how are you getting those needs met? A good example is for the addict. Early on, they learn to cope with, let's say, to be free of pain, emotional pain. They got an abusive parent, whatever. They start using to escape. 1 out of 8 persons becomes an addict. So they learn through examples and environment. You immerse in that environment. There's examples all around you. You learn about it, education. et cetera, et cetera. So it becomes your coping mechanism, and then that manifests in how you deal with the world. So it's in stages. All of that is to say that, is it latent that some people are just going to be evil no matter what? I don't know. The Christian viewpoint, as you all know, says we're all fallen creatures and we're all evil. However, there's also the optimistic social look that everyone is good until they're forced to be bad. So I don't know. That's what makes the story arc so necessary.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, without having a solid story arc, I mean, it's like I brought up earlier that the main villain in Mary Machine Gun is this lady named Ophelia. And she is the manifestation of corruption in this organization. Because in my Mary Machine Gun, yes, it's a booby book, but there are things that are said in it.
There's a story
that actually means things that all organizations are prone to corruption. So all these organizations are corrupt. Her order's corrupt. The Catholic Church is corrupt. The city government that those little towns runs it's all corrupt. Everything is corrupted because it's run by people.
And people are corrupted. People tend toward selfishness, not necessarily, and selfishness is not a bad thing necessarily. Selfishness says, I'm hungry, I want to eat. Selflessness says, okay, I'll let my kids eat before I do. But I'm still going to eat because I'm hungry. Yeah. That's me. That's a me thing, right? But into every organization, the more me you feed, the bigger that approach to the world becomes. But think about this, and here's my question to you guys. In my all-time favorite movie, Casablanca, there's a bad guy, Major Strausser of the Third Reich.
Yep.
But he doesn't drive the story. He's just there. He's just an element of it. The circumstance is the antagonist. You follow me? The whole circumstance.
No, what's the circumstance? Then I can follow you.
Oh, yeah, you don't know the movie? Okay. No. So Rick owns a club in Casablanca. He's mysterious. No one knows why he came there when he came. Mysterious woman comes into town with a famous, what do you call him, partisan fighter. And turns out that they had a love affair back in Paris before the Nazis invaded. And she just left him on the train tracks when they were supposed to get away together. So, he became cynical, moves down here. Well, turns out she tells him later on that she thought her husband was dead because he'd been captured by the Nazis in a concentration camp. She got a telegram, he's dead. So she moved on with her life, had the affair with this dude. But then right before they're supposed to leave, she finds out he's alive. He's on the outskirts of town. He's sick. He needs her. She goes. In the movie, she never, by the way, says, I love you to Victor Laszlo, who is her husband. But she tells Rick she loves him frequently, who's our hero. But it's that they are the star-crossed lovers that can't be together. It's that the war is going on, and the Nazis are trying to keep Laszlo from escaping Casablanca and getting out into free Europe or to America to continue his work. So it's the circumstances that they're fighting. What does that look, John? It's Casablanca.
Sorry, I shouldn't have asked,
It's only the greatest movie ever.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
That's a hill I'm ready to die on, boys. But my point being,
here we go.
If you create a good enough scenario, do you really need a major supervillain to be the foil for the hero?
No, the answer is no. Easy answer.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you can craft a world in which, or an environment in which, he's got to be the hero to buck something. Got to fight something. Stand up for something or against something.
Yeah, I mean, there was in the movie 300. There was Xerxes, who was this huge god king thing that was all deep voiced and spastic and 9 foot tall and all this crazy shit. But I mean,
I
he
am
really
God.
didn't. He really didn't play much role in being the villain, aside from being the one that raised the army against Sparta.
Right.
So, but the real villain, I guess, would be the Hunchback, who gave him up and told him there's a pass through the mountain to get around the back of him.
Right. Right. You know,
That's
that's
like what we
I
were
believe
talking
the real
about.
villain in that movie is the politician that's trying to make Greece submit to the invading Persians. He's the main villain of the story.
yeah, yeah. And by the way, imagine my surprise when I figured out that Leonidas' wife was also, what's her name from Game of Thrones. That never clicked with me until the other day.
Really?
Lena Headley, that was her name. Yeah, it never clicked. I guess, you know, the brunette and the blonde thing. You know, just
She was also
Clark
Sarah
Kent.
Connor in the Terminator TV show.
yeah. It's the Clark Kent disguise thing. You know, they just changed her hair a little bit. I didn't know. Hey, Fanta.
Hey, Fanta.
So,
What's up, Fanta? And who's this? JD Kirby?
That's JD Kirby. What's up, JD?
What's up?
Sorry, if you're seeing weird people, I put the link out that we were streaming. So.
Thank you.
Because
I didn't mean to make things uncomfortable.
No, it's fine.
the masses need to be exposed to our profound wisdom.
But yeah,
I'd rather talk to somebody than yelling in a closet, you know.
Right. So, you know, in my book,
No. Third soliloquy? Shut up, Doc. Your time is over.
no, I was just going to say, I've got the run-of-the-mill garden variety gangsters, and their motivation is not deep. It's profit and fear of losing profit and power, right?
someone told me that gangsters.
Make the world go round? You're correct.
They formed to protect their families. And
Or to fuck bitches and get money, whichever kind of gangster you're talking about.
I can't remember exactly what they said, so I apologize if I butcher it or it's not sounding right. But I was told that the mob families were formed to protect each other in the new world.
Yeah.
well, they had things like La Cosa Nostra way before the New World.
Yeah,
These organizations were operating in Sicily. They're operating in mainland Italy for
Right.
decades before anything happened in the New World.
so yeah,
Maybe centuries.
Please forgive me if I butchered it or I messed
It
up.
No, you're fine.
It's all good.
But yeah,
You're right in the premise. You know, it was
Yeah.
families, us versus them. You know, that's what it boiled down to.
yeah,
Because what I was saying earlier is that a lot of this stuff, the environment, right? You take yourself, you put yourself in a different time period. Like in that movie Sin City, where he says Marv is he's born in the wrong time. If he was born in some ancient city swinging a battle axe, he'd be right at home. You know, but the thing is, it's because you have to make that conscious decision. We were talking about this before on Vic's channel, where he was saying, you know, is my character a hero or a villain? Well, what are the social customs of the time? Was what he's doing for that time period, that fictional place that you created, you know, is for that actual environment, is what he's doing villainous? If it is, then yeah, he's a villain. Because you got to take everything into context. The story, the story that you build around your character is the whole point. Like Doc was saying earlier, I mean, that is essential when it comes to making your story, is telling where this is happening, which for me it was easy because I put my story in basically the real world, right? So people can automatically assume if he's, you know, associating with drug dealers and hookers, he's probably a bad guy himself. He's in the criminal world, right? So
Right.
so you automatically you can make assumptions, and that's great, especially when you're telling a new story about a new character. You want a lot of assumptions to be made quickly so you can get on with the actual story you want to tell. And when you tell a story about or you tell the villain story, right? And you want to make them sympathetic, you have to kind of ride the line of, I can kind of see how I might do something similar if the situations were the same. Like, there was this old episode of Roseanne. It was great. And Dan, Roseanne's husband, Dan, goes out and he knocks out, what's Roseanne's sister's name? She was that loser. What's her name?
Oh,
Jackie.
Jackie.
Thank you. You know, Jackie's always dating loser men, right? Jackie gets hit. She comes with a black eye. Dan grabs his coat and leaves. And he comes back home. He's hiding his hand because his hand's all bloodied up. And following him home are the police. And they come and arrest him.
Right.
Dan's a villain, according to Jackie's boyfriend. Dan's a hero in Jackie's eyes. And for us as the viewer, the point of view that we're getting it from, he's a decent guy. Yeah, he should go and get arrested because that's the right thing to do. Go and get booked, maybe spend a night in jail, let him out, and maybe just forget about the whole thing later. There's some violence that's in our society is acceptable and forgivable.
Indeed, it's expected.
Or at least it was acceptable in the 90s.
Well, I mean, it's expected, especially in what we're doing in comic books. You know, let's think about it.
Oh,
Violence it's required.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
gotta
not
be.
exactly required, but it is
It
the
certainly
It
helped.
helps tell stories.
it is the easiest way to resolve conflict in a comic book, because I mean, and it's exciting. Let's be honest,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Yeah.
Because you can have two people talking for an entire 2 comic book series,
Yeah.
and then they eventually come to a conclusion, and then there's a compromise made, and then
What else are we going to put on a splash page?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you something. There is a show out there that you would think would be the most boring thing to watch in the world, but literally had me on the edge of my seat salivating. I'm not even joking. It's an anime called Death Note.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
I've seen that
I've heard
one.
of this.
The most action in the movie is a guy writing the name in a ledger inside of a notebook. And dude, I have never been on the edge. He's like, they zoom the camera into the tip of the pen. You can hear the pen rolling across the paper, and you're like, oh my god, whose name is he writing? Because the way they set it up, and all the intrigue, and all the double cross, and all the psychological warfare that's happening in between, just panel to not panel to panel, but scene to scene, you are on the edge of your seat, riveted by what is the choice he's gonna make. And it's possible to have actual just conversations, you know, the psychological violence between two people, to be riveting. It's just
Yeah.
hard to do.
It is. It is. But There's a
Who's the villain in Death Note? If he's killing people,
his name is Light.
yeah, but I mean, if the protagonist is just killing people and making bad decisions on who he kills, sometimes isn't he doing villainous activity?
No, yeah, he's a villain. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's definitely a villain.
So it's two villains.
How?
No,
how-
it's a villain. It's a villain, and it's basically a Sherlock Holmes thing. The villain is writing names in this book. He has this book where he can write the name of a person down and how they die, and they will die that way. The good guy is the genius detective that's trying to figure out who is killing all these people. How are these people dying? And he's coming up with ingenious ways, put it on the TV. We're going to put a news out that we have a lead, but we're only going to put it out in these 4 regions. In these 16 other regions, we're going to change the commercial. We're going to see what happens as a result of that. And then there's just mind games the entire time. He's trying to figure out. It's a cat and mouse game. It's beautiful. And there's no fight. There's no socking people. There's no explosions, big blue beam of light coming down out of the sky, causing a city explosion. But it's riveting. It's riveting.
No
What's
big
going
blue
on?
beam coming out of the sky. That's no good. Everything
now I'm
needs a big
curious.
blue beam.
It's not. I don't think it's on Hulu. There's like some sites where you can find it.
I got you.
The appeal of the traditional comic book is that it's cathartic. Everybody at some time has been victimized by the system, by someone, and they were unable to get any satisfaction. In comic books, you've either got a Superman who they do their worst, but he comes out on top, or there's a Batman that follows them home and becomes their nightmare. And we get a catharsis from watching good beat evil, because we can't.
J.D. Kirby says, so is Death Note the Zodiac Killer? No, I wouldn't say that. It's Death Note is basically a psychological horror, because again, like Joe said, there is no fighting. There's a lot of arguing, and a lot of light writing names. Which if you watch the series, you can see how what's the word I'm looking for? Tactical. A lot how tactical he is, because he pretty much thinks things through, and it's basically a psychological horror with
So, here's my question about Death Note then. Why doesn't the villain writing the names in the book just write the name of the detective who's investigating him?
because he doesn't know the name, and in order for him to write the name, he doesn't just have to write the name. He also has to picture the guy's face.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's my question.
All right, share what I'm showing you here. Share what I'm showing you here, Steven.
Gotcha.
I'm sharing
Well,
something.
let me see if I can get an answer to this question. Is
No,
there a
real quick.
cost-
This is what Doc was talking about here.
Okay.
Okay, this is a comic strip called The Buckler Adventures in Villainy. He's a villain, but you still need a catharsis, right? So here it is. There's a bunch of teens. They're in the park, taking up parking spots, revving their engines with their car. This lady says, she has a little fat kid eating ice cream. She says, "Oh, I wish someone would do something about those damn teens." And the Buckler is eating an ice cream. He says, "Here, hold this ice cream." And then he just starts letting off with his gun and hacking. Okay, so even though he's the villain of the story, he does the things that you want. Everybody has been annoyed by the people in the park that have been playing their music too loud, or revving their engines, or having a party at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Near next door neighbors. You want to go over there and you want to just pa 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 pa, and you start killing everybody, but you can't and you don't. So this is like a wish fulfillment. Even though he's a bad guy, he's not the hero of the story. You're still getting that wish fulfillment catharsis.
Right.
You
And
need
That's
that.
why
And
My
I
question
wonder-
on this, excuse me, the Death Note. The villain who has this ability to write the name and the manner of the death. What does it cost him to do that? There's got to be a cost to it.
He is unable to go to heaven. Because, his soul would initially belong to the Shimigami, which
Okay, all right. We're getting into that deep Japanese mythology shit.
well, it's
you asked the
Grim
question, Doc. Don't wave away the answer.
It's the Grim Reaper.
You can't go to
No,
their
there
version.
is, and the thing is, he doesn't come off when the show starts. He doesn't come off immediately as the villain. He's a very brilliant
Right.
guy, top of his class. He gets this notebook and finds out through the course of events that this notebook belongs to a demon of death, god of death, right? And I can actually make the world a better place by choosing who dies. He starts to kill career criminals, mob bosses, murderers, rapists, people on death row, killing them, right?
Right.
Until it starts to get to the point where now I might be found out. So I need to start killing people so that I can stay free.
Right.
That's where the rabbit hole goes down.
Yep. Yeah, the plot thickens.
Okay.
Yeah, there's got to be a cost for power. The portrait of Dorian Gray. You know, I get to live forever, but if I ever see that portrait, then it will revert to the young, beautiful young man, and he will age up and he will die. Jekyll and Hyde. You know, there's a cost for power.
There's also a thing where he can extend the power, but at the cost of half his life.
So, like, he can add more names at the cost of his own life or something
No,
like that?
basically what he can do, he gets a power where he can see people's names as soon as he sees them without having to actually learn their names.
And he can tell when they're gonna die.
Not important.
So
Not
he
important
never
to the
sees the protagonist.
No, the protagonist is a super top secret, brilliant detective who always stays in the shadows, only communicates with people through written, that never actually shows his face in public. He just goes by the name of, what is it, K?
L. Or
L.
K.
Yeah, L.
Okay.
I guess it has, yeah, L.
Yeah, somebody wrote that in the chat, and now I know what it means. That's cool. Yeah, look, I love the suspenseful head game psycho thriller stuff. I love that stuff. I love Sherlock Holmes. Friggin' some of the best literature ever written.
Except for Hound of the Baskervilles.
Yeah, that was kind of granted.
That was the first one that I read.
I think it was me too, because it was the only one they had in the school library when
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
in like grade school. They had Hound of the Baskervilles, and I read that one. And I was
Fortunately,
like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the movie still sets it up, or the show still sets it up, that Light, the main character, the guy that turns bad, is a type A personality. The kind of person that if given too much power will corrupt them. They say, how the old saying is, you want to find a
Absolute
good
power
leader.
corrupts absolutely.
Huh?
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes. But he's a very type A. He's like, things are supposed to be a certain way. My way is the best way. If I had things my way, things would just be perfect. That kind of personality. So it's not like it took some guy who was incorruptible and corrupted him. He always kind of had that underlying personality, and when
Right.
given the power, he was just able to be who he already was
Yeah, he
to a
was
greater
just-
extent.
right.
Which goes back to my
Blatantly
initial
evil.
point: is that villains are born.
The villains are what?
Boring.
Villains are born.
I think most people.
What about Mr. Freeze? 'Cause we were talking about him earlier. And he wasn't really born. He was created because his wife was dying and he froze her. Which I guess that's not really an evil act because he was a doctor, depending on which version of Mr. Freeze you're talking about. He was a doctor and he froze his wife so he could find a cure for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ended up getting the lab accident where he has to be in the air conditioning suit. And then everything
Not a villain yet. Go ahead.
everything that he does is to cure his wife, but it's like the things
Well,
that he needs.
you cannot do anything in the world to cure your wife. That's where he slips into being a villain.
Yeah, see, and then that's where he becomes the villain. But
He's
he wasn't
sympathetic
cur-
for sure, but still 100% villain.
The ends
Yeah.
do not justify the means.
They don't.
No.
He,
Oh,
he goes. he goes to the extent where it's to a point where he doesn't care if anyone dies as long as he reaches his goal.
Yep.
Think about this question when you're writing stories, fellas. Right thing, right reason. You can have a person doing the right thing for a wrong reason or a wrong thing for a right reason. It is rare that there's a right thing, right reason, or a wrong reason, wrong thing. So if you frame a story around that question, you kind of get into some interesting psychology. Now, I think some people are born sociopaths or psychopaths. But I also think on any given day, any given person can be pushed to a breaking point. Falling Down is a good movie like that. The
That's a
Punisher
great
is an
movie.
example of that. You know, what happens when a good person is put into a situation where the only answer is to do bad things, but you're doing them to bad people.
But the thing is, when you're talking about something like that, like for instance, One Bad Day, right?
Right.
Gordon isn't a villain and does not become a villain. Even if Gordon were to kill the Joker, it would not make him a villain.
Right.
If you get pushed to the point where you commit a villainous act like murder, but it's justified, then you're not a villain.
Exactly right. Exactly. So that's to me, that's not even a wrong thing, right reason. That's a right thing, right reason.
But if you were completely pacifist, you would see that as a villainous act, no matter what.
Yeah, that's going to be your schema. That's how you see the world. How do you interpret the world? Are we chaotic good? Are we lawful good? Or blah blah blah.
Okay, everyone. Sorry to interrupt you, Doc. But we got someone in the back. So everyone, I want you all to put your hands together for Pops.
All together now.
That looks like a brand new hat, Doc.
That's not Doc.
Critical blast,
Oh.
baby.
Old white man number 2.
Older, no, just older white man.
Racist.
Older white.
Past your bedtime, Pops?
Actually, I don't have much choice this evening. We are kicking off a new show at 3 a.m. Manticore is doing reality gaming live on the Madness Comic Network. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So I'll be up kind of late, and then I got to get up with Max and do some more Madness.
Well, where is
gaming.
Manticore right now? How come he's not watching this show?
He
was.
He might be. He was
watching this show.
We just got out of StreamYard backstage setting up his show, so I got out of there. I looked at YouTube. Hell, DVD's live. Here I am.
Hey, Billy, I'm a little boozed up myself. I'm drinking the rest of this. I only got about a quarter of it left. That should be enough to get me going.
What you got, Sky?
Regular vodka.
So, I guess what it comes down to is, you can be born a villain, you can be made a villain, but for storytellers, do you write a compelling story and fill it with cookie cutter NPC bad guys? Do you create a villain equal to your hero, or do you create a set of circumstances for your hero to overcome? I think all of those are viable. I think all of those make for good stories. And I think, you got to have something like in my book, I had to go and redraw the assault scenes, because what Elizabeth ends up doing to these people in books 2 and 3 is so horrific that what was done to her had to be
Yeah, it had to be worse. Yeah, it has to be equal to or less than what she's doing to them.
They ruined her credit.
That's right. Right.
If
They
not,
trolled her
all have
cooking
to
show.
die.
They trolled her
not-
cooking show, John.
if not, it causes you'll lose the audience.
The sympathy, yeah. The catharsis won't be there.
Right. Because we were talking about earlier, Dan from Roseanne, right? If you come to find out when he came home that Dan had, not only did he sock the guy up, but he, after he was knocked out, curb stomped him. Right? Just knocked all the teeth out of his head. And broke his jaw and then had to get wired up, whatever. And then you're like this. It's getting a little severe, Dan. Yeah.
A little pent up anger there, Dan.
But even there, still forgivable. The guy hit a woman, right? He was beating up on a woman with
Right.
no cause. So, okay, maybe that's a little bit forgivable. Okay, maybe. And it's all how you build the story up, right? Because what if this was Dan's actual sister?
But if
Not
he
his
knocked him
sister-in-law,
out?
but his actual sister. What if it was his sister who was getting beat up? Then you get into the territory of like Goodfellas, and Sonny tried to kill the guy
Right.
that hit his sister, right?
Right.
Is that forgivable? Now that's when it starts to come to you. Would you forgive somebody who murdered another man because the guy put his hands on his sister?
I can
Damn
chime in on
Skippy.
that one from actual experience. I seen somebody when we were in high
Well,
school.
hopefully we all have actual experience doing.
When we were in high school, somebody slapped my sister, and I was chaining my bike up at the bike rack, and dude was about 10 feet away from me, and I'm standing there with a chain and a locket in my hand, and he slapped my sister. And I did 8 months in a juvenile facility for what happened to him.
Well, what did you do?
I smacked the fuck out of him with the chain and a lock a couple times, a few times.
So,
I'd say the bastard had it coming, but
Yeah, and then the judge, the judge.
Right, because the thing is this: it's all in how you build up the story.
When the
Because if
judge
he did
asked
that,
me-
but he didn't do it right there and then, if he did that after the fact, he went home and thought about it for a while, and then went to that dude's house later and did that, they'd be like, you're getting a little
Okay,
crazy
so
there,
check it out.
Pops.
You-
Maybe
you-
that's
you
not
gotta go
acceptable.
I had to go back to the
Premeditated.
judge. I had to go back to the judge to get released. Okay,
The Minicore.
I go back in front of the judge as a juvenile in Minnesota to get released back to your parents or whatever. And the
Yeah,
judge said straight up, he's like, "Did you learn anything?" And I said, "Dude, if somebody did that to your wife or your daughter, are you going to act like you wouldn't have responded that way? I'm not going to act like I did something wrong, dude. I did my 8 months, let me go home."
that's right. Look, it's a simple transaction. I went to the store. I paid for the goods. It's
Yeah.
over.
There was no way they were going to get me to admit I had done something wrong.
Right.
Okay, now tie that into what we're talking about.
It's just the way it is. You
I just
know?
wanted to tell a story. Be quiet, Pops.
The whole thing is though is that the story, when you build the story up, okay, it has to have some kind of there has to be enough evil to justify the payment.
Yes.
Mhm.
There's
And
There's
that's
a-
what I was saying. Dude did something to my sister right in front of me, and yeah, did I get carried away? Maybe. Did I care? No.
in general, we live in-
Escalation
we-
of force.
Yeah.
in general, we live in what's called a therapeutic society, meaning we're supposed to be about law and order, just action, temperance, forgiveness, mercy, blah, blah, blah. And Victor Davis Hanson does a great lecture on this. Look up Victor Davis Hanson, American Ajax, and this is his lecture on Patton and people like General Ridgway and Curtis LeMay that are people who are exceptional because they're able to set aside their moral issues to use force, deadly force, to undo evil and to defend good. And Curtis LeMay said, you know, if we lose the war, I'll be tried for war crimes for the stuff I did. Because, you know, he pretty much firebombed Japan back to the Stone Age.
There he is. See? Told you. It's the core.
Yep. So the idea is that you take a General Patton or Curtis LeMay or Matthew Ridgway and you turn those into a superhero. You get the Punisher. You get people who are willing to do extreme harm in the name of something good.
Which is one of my characters, Dark America. She's coming up probably next year, maybe later this year.
Excuse me.
Damn it.
That shit went all over his keyboard.
I've got this weird thing that just started in the last year. All my life, when I sneeze, it's just a sneeze. Now I double sneeze, and if I cough, I sneeze. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that
I need to
happens
see
to
a
me
doctor.
sometimes.
It's called mute button. It's what it's called. It's called a mute button.
Shut up, Dillard.
Isaac sneezes 3 times every time, and he tries to hold in, so it's like
But as I was saying, Dark America, she basically kills people for the Lord. If you're sinning and doing something wrong,
warrior of the
she's
light.
just gonna kill you. You know?
Yeah, I call those
'Cause-
warriors of light.
Yeah.
Because
So,
there's got to be people out there willing to lose their soul to save others. That's what heroes are. You know?
But, you know, then you've got people, let's take 2 examples, Superman and Captain America. They're almost always going to try to do the right thing for the right reason. And they're not going to use excessive force. They're going to use just the right amount of force. You know, whatever it is. But keep in mind that those guys in those tights are still beating the shit out of people. You know, the
that's what I was
catharsis.
saying. Like Batman's
there.
kicking people through walls.
Right, right.
He went from Biff Bang Boom to kicking people through walls. I mean, he has become more brutal
Right,
over the decades of the characters.
right.
No, then Frank Miller had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Because in reality, and that's what Frank Miller was going for here, you know, you're not just going to go punchy punch a few little bad guys and they all happen to just get knocked out and you move on to the next thing. You know, you got to really inflict some harm on people to get them down and make them stay down or to run away.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best. I mean, The Dark Knight, one of my favorite Batman story arcs. That one, and then what was it? What we were talking about earlier, Tanner, was it Contagion?
Oh yeah, Contagion.
Yeah.
You
They had
remember
all the zombies.
You remember in Daredevil, Man Without Fear, the graphic novel,
I don't think I've read that one yet.
Frank and Ramita. Elektra
Missing out.
goes
Wow.
out because she has this bloodlust, but she's not just going to go jump people that, even if she knows they're bad. There's these gangbangers, so she leads them down an alley and she strips. She gets naked so that they will accost her, and then she will feel justified in doing whatever the hell she wants to them. So think about that. You know, that's the setup to do a supposedly right thing. but it's for the wrong reason. It's to satisfy her
Entrapment,
bloodlust.
and that's okay in the superhero world. They do it all the time.
Well, I mean, yeah, for dark, gritty superheroes, Captain America is not going to do that.
Well, see, but Elektra's not a superhero. She's never meant to be. She's an assassin. She's never meant to be a superhero. They
I got
ruined
that.
that character.
We're using the term pretty broad strokes here, Bobs.
Yeah, they ruined that character. She's one of my 3 favorite characters in Marvel, and they just destroyed her with that first movie. They watered her down, turned her into a nursemaid in the first fucking movie they did with her. You know, how can you go back to the lady who sat in the movie theater with Spider-Man on one side and Wolverine on the other side telling her not to as she drove her side through the back of the seat into the dude she was meant to kill? Right there with Wolverine and Spider-Man right there. She didn't give a shit. She killed that dude. That's Elektra. She ain't no hero. She was never meant to be a hero.
In the comics now, I think Marvel has, or the people of Marvel has made Elektra take Daredevil's place as Daredevil.
It's fucking
Yeah, I
stupid.
think she is the modern Daredevil.
It's stupid.
Let's please don't even get into what they're doing to comics.
I feel like we lost control of the narrative here. What are we talking about?
Yeah, we lost the point. Miss a beat, lose the rhythm, slip a little off your pace.
Yeah. So the overall competition is about do heroes create the villains? And in some situations, for example, the Joker, yes, but it was unintentional.
Like I have yet to hear a good coherent argument as to how a hero created a villain.
Well, there would be like some accidents that wasn't supposed to happen, but they happened anyway.
Well, Spider-Man might have created the Hobgoblin with Harry. But maybe, because didn't Harry see Spider-Man holding Norman's dead body, and freak all out?
Yeah, it was the first movie.
Not the movie.
Near the
No,
end.
in the comics. Because in the movies he was just around his dead body. In the comic books he was holding
He
his
was
dead
holding
body.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Harry saw him.
But what Dillard is
Harry
saying,
freaked
and
out.
I agree, is let's see cause and effect. At what point did a hero create?
But this
The
is what
villain.
I'm saying. Harry wasn't the bad guy at all until he saw Spider-Man with his dad's dead body, and then he freaked out and turned into an evil dude.
Well, people that freak out and turn evil are not normal people; they're villains.
True. But I mean, he was his friend forever, right? I guess he tried to steal his girlfriend and shit, but I mean, they were friends forever.
Because the thing is, if Spider-Man had killed Norman, right? Let's say Norman was a regular dude, whatever. Spider-Man killed my daddy. I have a vendetta against Spider-Man.
Mhm.
I'm not a villain.
Right.
He did me an actual injustice.
Yeah, that's what
And
he
in
thought.
his mind, that's what he saw.
So
The Hobgoblin
is it
didn't
true?
do a whole
Now, I don't
lot.
care what you see in your mind, because in your mind you may feel like, well, I need to provide for my family, so I got to sell this dope. No, what is real? Is there an objective moral reality that's happening, and because you're unaware of it, that's not an excuse to become a villain.
No, I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm saying exactly what you said. From his point of view, he saw his innocent daddy he loved killed by this Spider-Man guy. So now I have a righteous cause. I'm not a villain. I'm going after this person.
And of course, he did it wrong in his eyes.
J.D. Kirby says desperation creates villains.
But did Harry turn into a hero because of it, or did
No,
he turn
he-
into a villain because of it?
He became a villain.
Because here's the thing, right? Let's think about this logically. From the point that Harry saw his father apparently being killed or killed at the hands of Spider-Man, right? Saw him dead.
What he thought?
At that point, let's say I have a righteous indignation. I'm furious. and justifiably so, as Spider-Man. What then happens? Because that's the important part, the story. What actually happens? Does he go to find out? Does he go and does he kill somebody? Does he say?
He starts hearing the Green Goblin voice, and then he takes on the persona of the Goblin, and he goes after Spider-Man, and he
So
kills
there's a
Gwen.
mental illness at work there.
He pumpkin bombs the shit out of everything.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
something.
So, I
That's
mean,
not.
he
That's
didn't-
not
he didn't
equivalent
become
to
a
a
hero.
righteous anger. Pumpkin bombing the shit out of innocent people to
Right.
get at your objective is not a heroic thing.
Right.
The guy was a villain, and now he has the ability to show how villainous I am.
Exactly. He was a villain.
Is Squash Man the villain?
Absolutely.
Telling you, you're sitting on gold if you don't illustrate that story.
It was like, and again, I can't with the Joker. Yeah, the Joker was depending on what story you go by, was on hard
Right.
times, and he said, "You know what? I'm going to go and do some criminal activities."
I was talking about the Killing Joke when the mob had him dress up as the Red Hood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played stupid games, won a stupid prize, right?
Yeah.
And then, because of that, what, he had a mental breakdown? The guy was a villain. Sorry.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to even see it because even the heroes that have turned and done evil things and like heel and babyface, it's almost like WWE.
Yeah.
Some heroes go back and forth.
If you look in real life, at 9 times out of 10, when people are doing something horrible, a lot of the times they think they're doing something right. They think it's justified.
I'm gonna chain myself to this tree so somebody don't cut it down.
Right.
Which
Or-
we did discuss when we were discussing Magneto earlier.
Well, I mean, think about this. You know, you got the eco activists that will go and drive spikes in the tree so that when a lumberjack tries to cut it with his chainsaw, it injures him badly.
Yeah.
You know, that's willful intent. That's maliciousness.
Mhm.
And that's saying that this particular tree is more important than a human life. But from that eco-Nazi's point of view, you know, it's not just this one tree. It's the earth. And we love the earth. We're doing the right thing. But it always starts with they think they're doing something right.
Yeah.
Does the buckler work his way
No, he's-
up his criminal organization, or does he just go and take one over on day one?
Day one.
Day one, just go get
Day
it.
one. Yeah. Like if you care to hear, like he doesn't actually. The way that I wrote the character, he very much has already made the decision that I have been done wrong.
Right.
Look, you guys are making a big old deal out of one little murder. In his head, he's thinking. I mean, realistically, it wasn't even really my fault, right?
Come on,
But I had to suffer for it. I lost my family, I lost my home, I lost everything, and I had to leave my home for 4 years till things died down a little bit. Like I took the major brunt. In his head, I took the major brunt
Right.
of the wrongdoing, the injustices, mainly on me. It was just, yeah, I murdered that girl, but there were circumstances, extenuating circumstances. Not that she had it coming, but come on, get over it. It wasn't that big of a deal.
It's just one person.
So that in his head, that because again, he's the main character, he's the hero of his own story.
Nobody
That's how
misses
it
a
works.
hooker.
She wasn't even a hooker; she was a server.
No, I'm just saying nobody misses a hooker.
Right. So in
Hookers are
his head,
people, too.
I'm justified.
You ain't gotta
So
kill him.
He'll still walk around and do things as though he's not a bad guy.
Right.
Like he has in the very first book, he has a guy that hangs out in front of his store, and he's a bum, and he's a dirty bum. But the guy that's hanging out in front of his store, his daughter was the one that the buckler killed. So the guy's an alcoholic, you know, and he just sits there waiting for the Buckler to show up every now and then to take a swing at him or try to kill him. But because the Buckler doesn't think he's really a bad guy, he doesn't like lay the dude out. He just kind of like dodges his punch and just keeps on walking.
Right.
Like, he's a drunk, leave him alone.
Well, I mean,
Fine.
you said it just a moment ago. He, in his mind, he's the hero of his story.
Like,
Yeah,
he's
that's-
just out to get back what he feels he lost. He was wrong,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and that's what makes movies like Goodfellas and The Godfather so compelling. People are absolute animals. They're criminals. But in their own world,
They're the
They're
hero of their own
behaving-
story.
according to a code,
Yeah.
they're living by their code.
Yep.
But the Buckler, you know, he's a small business owner. He's living the American dream.
The Canadian dream.
Well, you know.
Well, I'll tell you, I keep telling people, no, yes, the Buckler, because this is the way I feel. Because his worldview is not correct, he's the villain.
hmm
You say, oh, is he a hero or a villain? But he does this. No, it's a story about a villain. He's the villain.
Right.
I'm writing a story about a villain.
Now,
That's
he's
it.
the protagonist of the book, but he's not a hero.
He is the protagonist, and he does fight other people, like Punisher, that are evil. He does fight evil people. But he's a villain. I'm sorry. He
Right.
is.
He's not fighting them because they're evil. They're fighting him because he needs to have something they have or stop them from taking something he has.
Correct.
We talked
Jamie
about
Curtis
Marv
and
earlier.
Marv from Sin City.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Marv earlier.
I got a condition.
I think I'm going to watch those tomorrow.
Sin City is really good. If you haven't seen it, look it up somewhere. Watch a few
It's a great
scenes.
movie.
Go on Amazon and buy the movie. It's really good. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen the sequel, so I can't give you my opinion on it.
Oh, the sequel is just as good.
Is it?
See, because I can't really go along with that because Marv doesn't actually start off with an evil thing that he's doing. Bad circumstances are thrust upon Marv. He didn't go out and cause a problem. Like, he was just set up. He was doing nothing wrong. Some lady was like, hey, you want to bang? He was like, yeah, sure. That's not against the law,
But
right?
Marv was already on parole for something. We never know what it is, but he's on parole.
Well, it's not against the law to bang a broad if you're on parole.
No. I'm saying that we don't know if in his past he's already kind of become a villain.
A murderer or
We don't
rapist or who knows what he did.
Right.
I mean, it could have
Kind of
been,
tells you in the
parking
movie that
tickets.
everybody knows that he wouldn't hit a woman, you know, or whatever.
But he does.
But he does. So,
I will. I'm going to
So-
watch that.
bad things happen to Marv, and he's just responding. I mean, the very
Right.
first thing that happens is they are coming to take him to jail for the rest of his life because this is not his first strike. They're coming to take him to jail for the rest of his life for something he did not do.
Right.
And because he doesn't say, yes, please, that makes him a villain? I don't think so.
Right. And keep in mind, though, this is the beauty of the writing of it. Marv doesn't just escape. He beats the fuck out of the whole police force. All right. Probably killed a bunch of them to get away. So they're not painting him as a hero. They're painting him as a force of nature. He's something that happens.
Mhm.
You know, you got the right wind temperature, you got the right atmospheric pressure, and a fucking storm happened.
He's also doing it for love. Because
Yep.
if you read it, he fell in love with Goldie.
He's the hero
Yeah.
in his own story.
He's the hero of his own story.
Now, he does say, very telling line when he confronts the bishop. No, it's fucked up to eat people. So there's a line. Marv recognizes there is a moral boundary somewhere. You don't eat
Yeah,
people.
but he's, if I remember correctly, in the story, the way it was written is he was kind of a unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So
Again, he gets confused sometimes. It's not good when he
Gets
forgets to take
confused
his medicine.
sometimes.
Yeah. Not good to not take your medicine when you got a condition.
I need to get that book.
Oh,
The
dude.
book is great.
Yeah. Go on eBay and find some of the old trade paperbacks. You can probably get them for like, $5 or something like that.
$1.
Yeah.
Like $7 shipping or something.
Yeah.
So it's great. So,
You're
that
gonna pay more for shipping than you are for the actual.
Have you guys seen that tweet going around
What?
that guy
It's worth
Adam
it.
is going to be making a bunch of trading cards for the Comicsgate masterpieces, the paintings?
Mary
No.
Deli,
Oh no.
6 a.m.
Yeah.
Is he the one doing that?
Yeah. So he sent me the information to submit my character, and you have to actually put down some quotes from him, whatever, yada yada yada. But you have to write a quick synopsis, right? Like what is your character in a nutshell? 30 words or less, right? So the first thing I put was, after people make a big old deal out of one little murder,
Right.
continue the sentence. And that would kind of give you the whole, that's the whole gist of his story. It's like, yeah, people making a big old
Think
deal
about
out of
this
it.
though, JD. JD makes a good point here, but hear me. One of the cops that he may or may not have killed in making his escape was just some honest schmo with a wife and kids at home. He was just going to make an arrest, a legitimate arrest for all he knew. And he was killed by the savage criminal. So it's always going to depend on perspective. Always.
That pig had it coming.
So if we take the perspective that Marv is telling us as gospel, right?
Mhm.
Because he's telling the story, then it really doesn't matter what you were doing or what capacity you were working in.
Right. Right.
You're still trying to put an innocent man away for the rest of his life, possibly the chair, for no reason at all.
Right.
He's a villain.
That's from his point of view. Yes.
Right.
But from
And as it's presented, that's how it went. That was the story. Collateral
That's why-
damage. Sorry.
That's why he's an unreliable narrator.
right. And good
That's not
writing.
why.
Good writing will always give you those good layers, though. Was it
Like an
really,
onion.
Was it really okay for him to kill, 7 cops that were just there to serve a warrant? Wife and kids at home. They show the funeral. Little Johnny gets given the American flag.
They know.
Father's casket.
Yeah. Is
And they knew what
absolutely
they
the
were-
kid should not be given the American flag. His father was a dirtbag trying to do illegal things.
It's where they get. They knew the risk came with the job.
Yep.
Oh.
I'm sorry. The guys were doing something illegal. They were doing something wrong. They were the bad guys in the story. I'm coming to
Marv-
arrest you and
from
end your
Marv's
life.
point of
No,
view.
from our perspective.
No.
From the world's perspective.
From a flawed narrator's point of view.
Okay, well then that's a bad example. Don't bring up Marv. Bring up something else. I'm not going to have a conversation about unreliable narrators. If maybe it didn't happen, well then why are we talking about it if it maybe didn't happen?
No, I didn't say it didn't happen. He's just that this is his Marv's version or his way of looking at things. But I'm saying that's what makes it a good story.
Well, I'm saying stop talking about it. 'Cause no, it doesn't make it a good story. Maybe it never happened.
What does happen?
No, it happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
So you're saying it's from a character?
Okay.
You guys just can't let me hold in one hit, can you? Just make me-
I mean, he had a condition, so it might not have happened at
We'll
all.
find out. We'll go straight to the source here.
Oh, Lord.
And Wild Tanner finds out. JD says, "Friendly fire. It happened. They were in the way. Some guy."
Mhm.
Well,
Now, okay, now I'll tell a story about friendly fire that is true.
That has to do with what we're talking about. Excellent. Let's
Um,
all listen.
When we were in Iraq, we got we were driving down the street and we started getting shot at, so we started shooting back. Turned out we were shooting at the Iraqi police, and we just murked them. I mean, they were all fucked up, and it wasn't anybody's fault, you know.
It happens.
But
It's a
we had superior firepower. They were just shooting those shitty AKs at us, and we were shooting 240.
Well, you
Bravos
already
back
said.
at
I mean,
them.
the obvious bad guy is the Iraqi whatever police because they started shooting at you unprovoked.
Yeah.
Clear cut case. Bad guy over there.
That was what the tribunal decided too. So
Well, I
It
wouldn't
was
call
all
it
good.
friendly fire if you're getting shot at. I don't give a fuck who it is.
well, it was
What's in that
it
fire field?
was what was called green on blue.
Yeah,
This shit
yeah.
wasn't friendly if it was coming my way. That's all I know. I'm returning fire just like you do.
Paint a picture in your head though. The Punisher's in a city park taking down some mobsters, and he gets into one of these desperate situations where the action's just flowing. He's tumbling, he's shooting, he drops his AK or his M16, and he goes to his pistols. One straight round, it's a hit off camera, but it happens. He's not really the hero anymore at that point.
Nope.
No, because what he's done is more.
He did more harm than good.
Yeah, he did more harm than good in that point in time, and it's more of an atrocity than what he's doing when he's killing the mobsters.
And
Right.
If you really, really care,
And
if you really, really care, if you want to remain the anti-hero / hero / whatever, after the firefight is over, you go and you submit yourself to the authorities for the murder of that kid. That's your fault.
Mhm.
And you can go to jail for however long they give you, and you can stay the hero. You're still the hero.
Right.
All right, so those guys, those cops, they're bad guys.
Okay.
It says right here, we're supposed to call them cops, but everyone knows who they're working for and what it takes to keep them happy. Somebody paid good money for this frame.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, they all work for what's his name? I only seen the movie. I never read the books,
Yeah.
but they all work for the main,
Senator
Yeah,
It was the same thing.
Rourke, Senator Rourke.
Rourke. Yeah.
Rourke.
Right,
Who's
the cops are the bad guys, and we saw in the movie what are cops doing in Sin City.
Yeah.
They don't go down there.
They don't go to Old Town.
Except for Harry Hartigan.
It's like East St. Louis; they don't go there either.
What I'm saying is, these cops go down there. The cops are the bad guys. It doesn't matter how many of them he kills to get out of this situation. They're all bad guys. Marv's still the hero.
Yeah, that was said the same way in the movie when Marv was narrating.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
When he says somebody paid good for this frame.
Yeah, I mean the movies were a fair adaptation to the comic.
Well, yeah, they
Well,
were.
they were loyal. They were loyal. They were pretty loyal to it, as far as I know.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Except for the head, like wasn't it Rory from Gilmore Girls was in that movie?
Oh yeah.
The assassin chicks or something like that.
She was one of the hookers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jessica Alba didn't even bother to get topless. You know,
I mean, come on,
it's a complete letdown.
come on.
She's dancing at a seedy club, fully clothed. No, that wouldn't happen in that place.
And didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, in the book it didn't.
Well, the thing is this, Doc. In the hierarchy of whores, right?
Yes.
There-
Tell me about
there
the
are the-
hierarchy of whores.
Until you tell you about the hierarchy of whores, right? If you're fresh-faced, beautiful, you can have your pick about what it is you do. But if you're some busted ass old crack whore, you got to throw like 8 dudes that blasting you in the ass at the same time just to make the same amount of money.
And that That's relevant to what we're talking about. How?
I'm
There's
correcting this man who is he doesn't know what
this
he's talking about.
profound wisdom.
But yeah, there's definitely a hierarchy of whores. You're correct.
Hey, Max's wheels are turning. I can already hear that as the title of the book.
South Park, dude.
Well, I mean, speaking of hierarchy of whores,
I got to make a
like-
chart on the hierarchy of whores.
We learned that in South Park, guys.
I think I just found out my next comic. Huh.
There it is.
I mean, we could do a crossover with Ninja Bimbos versus
Yeah.
zombies from deep space versus hierarchy.
No, I
of
think about it
whores.
this way: when a girl first makes her debut into doing pornography, they can do girl on girl action. They can do whatever and then as they start to age and start to become less marketable, they got to start doing the stuff where they get choked and beat up and abused and gangbangs, and then finally you're ushered out of the door because your worth is gone.
You busted
There's a
asshole.
hierarchy.
See you later.
I just, I don't think I've ever followed a porn career that closely.
This is all common sense, Doc. Open your eyes.
If you have not
everyone
seen
knows
the
this.
South Park episode wherein Butters is a pimp, you know all about the whore hierarchy. They taught it in 3rd grade or some shit.
The whore hierarchy. So let's. All right. So I guess it starts. We got hostess, topless waitress, topless bartender, then strippers that are young and fresh, and then where do we go from there?
The Tuesday night crew, the ones that have a kid at home, got a
Okay.
couple of
Oh.
scars, you know.
No, well, then after that is definitely like the daytime strippers. The ones that work the.
If you think this doesn't exist, go to a strip club in the day and at night and see who.
The ones that dance for the lunch crowd, yeah.
You get the whores that go to the gym and the ones who don't, you know.
Just here for the steak and
No, the
eggs.
funniest part.
You get the strippers that eat at the actual bar, you know.
They got a hell of a buffet down there at
The
Fred's.
funniest part of that is all the trucks in the parking lot that have the name of the company on the side of it. You know damn well those motherfuckers own that company. Yeah.
Well, that's another tier right there. The lot lizards.
Yeah.
Manicore says, you put a lot of thought into it.
Now we're just spitballing. We're just bringing up. We're bringing up. This is, as Dillard said, this is all common sense, really.
Yeah.
Fanta says, I'm learning so much.
I'm sorry, Fanta. I apologize that you're running this.
It's funny because the dude's cell phone keeps ringing, and it's somebody calling him to tell him that one of your employees is at the titty bar.
I caught him.
What?
And he's just like, it's okay.
Oh, you're talking about the guy who has a truck that owns the company that's in the titty bar. Okay.
Everybody at the lunch crowd at the titty bar. They all own those businesses. None of them are employees. Trust me.
So what I'm saying is, Stephen B., your premise of does a hero make a villain, and at no point does a hero ever create a villain. Not ever.
Ever.
What if he's the villain? Now hold up. What if
Never,
the hero
ever.
is the villain's father, and the kid just grew up to be a villain? He still created him.
I mean, he's responsible for him until the age of 18.
I don't know, Manicore. Very, very informative. You should mark this
I mean-
educational.
We didn't just get a little derailed. We jumped onto an entirely different fucking train. But it was educational. So.
I followed you guys. I can't keep this stream on topic. I gotta follow you guys where you go.
I was following
Yeah.
somebody. I don't know.
So I guess the conclusion is there are some situations
No, there are no situations in which a hero creates a villain. Does not happen.
Then, John, that sure challenges a writer to make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm one man. I can't do
All
the
right,
impossible. I just proved it impossible.
No, you just said it hasn't happened.
Nothing is impossible in fiction.
Implausible.
There are many ways where someone will become a.
If a hero like Stephen Strange uses magic to manipulate somebody's mind and turn them into a villain,
They're not a villain.
then a hero didn't create a villain. A villain created a villain.
That's right.
You understand?
Agreed.
Does not happen. A hero cannot create a villain. Impossible.
What if,
Outrageous. Obstreperous.
what if,
I'm
what
strippers.
if hero was
Cancerous
just-
and deceitful.
what if hero driving a car, wrecked into somebody, paralyzed them, and then that turns him into a mastermind supervillain? Now, did they already have that latent capability to be a supervillain? Or is the circumstances of what happened what caused them to become the villain?
Yeah, because normally what happens when you get paralyzed is you get depressed and then you just live the rest of your life.
Right.
You don't become a villain, a supervillain.
I don't know. You can get pretty
It'd be a
jacked
pretty
and waist
boring
up.
ass story. It'd be a pretty
Well, you know,
boring ass story without a supervillain.
Yeah, what Dillard is saying is a very good point. What is more likely to happen when X is the
Yeah.
evidence? What is the more likely outcome? You know,
Oh, it's what JD just said. Villains create the hero. The end. Fade out.
What about Cap and Bucky?
what about
Captain Bucky. If I,
Captain
if,
create
if,
Bucky. The Russians did.
if I remember right, again, correct me
The
if I'm-
Cold War created Bucky.
Bucky was Cap's sidekick back in the Invaders when he was a teenager.
yeah.
I know. What the hell was he thinking? Taking this kid around the freaking war zone.
Exactly. Why was he influencing that kid, putting him in a situation?
Where was Bucky's
turned into a
parents while all
villain?
this was happening?
well, this is the
Going
other
to war with Captain America, Mom. I'll be home after dinner.
right. The other part of
As
that,
Manticore wants to know, is it probable? No, it's probably not probable. Is it plausible? Possibly. But it definitely not probable. And if you want to say facts or not, no, it's definitely not facts.
If anyone wants to know what's a Captain Bucky?
No,
it is a fact that Bucky should have been left fucking dead, and Winter Soldier should have been somebody else. Bringing Bucky back was fucktardian.
Can somebody please explain the characters of Captain America and Bucky?
Bucky was Captain America's sidekick. At
way
the end,
long time ago.
at the end of
Way,
World
way
War
long
II,
time ago.
at the end of World War II, Bucky dies. It used to be said in comics only Uncle Ben and Bucky stayed dead.
Yeah.
And then they fucking brought Bucky back.
They brought Bucky back. And then didn't they clone Uncle Ben? They fucked that up too.
No, it's,
I don't think they call. Wait, did they call Uncle Ben?
I don't
think they did.
You know, it
Well,
wouldn't
not.
surprise me.
I mean, they've rebooted him so many times it doesn't matter. We've seen him 18 different times now. So.
there was a version of Captain America that George Perez was drawing. And I don't know who was writing it, but it was the Captain America that never went into the ice. He's just been around the whole time. So he's like,
Immortal.
60 years old and
It's
still
like 70.
jacked. Whoop your ass because Super Soldier's there, right? He's the one that would call 40-year-old guy's son. That's all right, son. I've got it from here. I liked that Captain America. That's the cap I want.
I think that's
There
just
you
a
go.
power fantasy, Doc.
It is. It is. I can't help it, Max.
All right, so I have something that I want to share
Okay.
for anybody who
Well,
wants to
let's
take a
see
look.
what-
Take a gander, one might say.
There's a contest going out right now, a art contest, fan art contest for the Rippaverse. The Rippaverse, Young Rippa is a YouTuber that created a comic called ISOM, fairly successful, massively successful.
Fairly successful.
He did all right,
yeah,
I
he
guess.
had a little bit of success, you know.
He did all right.
He had some success on his first outing. But
like
if
a
you
broke
are an
paper.
artist and you're interested, the grand prize is $1,000 plus an additional $1,000 cover commission, or possibly working on the book, doing sequential artwork with the possibility of making upwards of many thousands of dollars.
Right.
And for those of you who don't
This
know,
is a big deal. This is the biggest prize I've ever seen in this community
Yeah.
for any art contest ever. So if you got something you think people need to see, get it out there and get on this fan art contest, because this is a big deal.
You gotta obviously know the characters, which means you gotta buy the book.
No, you can do any characters as long as it has one of the characters from his website, one of the Rippaverse characters. As long as he's in there in some capacity, you're good. You're good to go.
Well, alrighty then. I was trying to shill a little bit for him, but I guess if he's got millions, he doesn't need my help.
Well, I think I'm gonna try to give it a try.
Do it.
There you go.
The answer is always no until you ask the question.
Yep.
The thing is, it's not just the grand prize. There's all the way up to fourth place. You get $500, $300, $200. There's still money to be made.
Yeah, there's money to be made. I was just gonna say that.
So, Don, I assume you're going for it.
If I have time, I will. I'm working on a bunch of other stuff right now, so I don't know.
Yes, yes. Time is always the issue.
Time is not on my side, Doc.
Yes, I hear you.
That's all. You can stop sharing that now.
All right.
Whoosh. Stop sharing, damn
And we're
you.
back.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, the villains become the villains on their own, whether it's through vengeful means, or through tragedies, or if that's the same thing, please let me know. Or just being a huge dick.
Circumstance.
Circumstance.
There's an impetus.
AKA a huge dick.
There's an impetus, but the cause is not the accident. The cause is not the event that happens to the person. All right. The same bad thing happens to two different people. One will become a hero, one will become a villain, or a third one will become neither. You know,
I have a perfect
Right.
example of that. Victor Von Doom did
And we talked about
well, he
Dr. Doom
did a
earlier.
thing. He hurt himself, became all crazy villain, right? But at what?
But he's not a villain in his home country.
Bruce
He's a
Banner.
benevolent dictator. That
But Bruce
there's
Banner
in
did
his
some
country
fucked up
of what is it?
experiment and created the Hulk.
Latvia.
Yeah, Latvia.
Speaking of
That's-
villainous acts, my wife just had my kid call me and ask for strawberry jelly from the store.
So check it out. Do you consider Bruce Banner a hero for creating the Hulk, or was the Hulk was considered a villain then? He wasn't like, Bruce Banner created that.
He's a monster.
Yeah, was Bruce Banner is Bruce Banner considered a hero, or
well, that's what I said earlier with
because
Jackson.
when he has control of the Hulk,
Yeah,
then the Hulk
it's the
is
same
the
story.
guy.
The Hulk is just Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
Well, what about when Banner has control of him? Then he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
in theory.
Smart Hulk. Hipster
Well,
Hulk.
I think that I probably sufficiently answered this question and definitively answered this question. So I do have to get going. My daughter
All right.
needs some strawberry jelly for her peanut butter.
This must happen.
It's gotta
Oh,
happen.
Well, thank
When
you.
you're 4 years old, you're gonna be devastated if you can't have jelly.
You're damn right.
That's right. That means a hero must rise up and get that jelly.
The hero must rise.
The city is calling me right now. I have to go.
Thank you for coming on, Dillard. You're always
Thank you
always
so much
welcome.
for having me on, Steven. You have no idea how often I show up in somebody's chat and they don't send me a link. You're a hero in my eyes.
Thank you.
See you, John.
Goodbye, everybody.
Later.
Goodbye,
Later,
chat.
John.
Later.
Peace.
So, it's 11:26 here. So,
So,
I don't think Steven's used to these 2.5 hour streams.
I can go
Tanner.
over.
did you reach out to Buford?
I did.
But yeah.
All right. Good man.
So mainly, villains do become villains on their own. Again, through tragedies or vengeful means,
Or psychosis.
or right, and
Like this guy.
Max, tell Phil to quit creeping back there, man.
and there, and it doesn't really happen if a hero unintentionally creates a villain. through history and comics. But what do you, people in the chat or people in the comments, what do you think? Please put that down below. And do you want to go a little bit longer?
Manticore says, now that he's gone, Steven, this is your opportunity to rebut his argument.
Yeah, now's your chance to say your piece without him interrupting.
I'm right, you're wrong, shut the hell up.
But
Dillard's the villain.
We're all the heroes in our own story.
I mean,
Right.
Doc was trying to
Okay, I
beat
got one.
Dillard.
I got one. Does
You got
everybody consider the Ancient One a hero?
the ancient one.
Shazam?
No, the Ancient
No,
One, Doctor Strange,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
because that dude trained Mordo.
He trained him. He didn't give him his
He
psychosis.
created a villain. He gave him the power to go be a
He
fucking.
didn't create it.
But
I mean,
would the ancient one be considered as a hero, or just a guy who was a powerful?
It's the gun
Okay.
metaphor. If I
Okay,
give the gun to Max and I give a gun to Tanner, I'm not responsible for what they do with them.
They're
One will
both
use it for
soldiers,
good,
you
one
know
use it
what's
for
gonna
bad.
okay, so
Now, they're both
technically,
soldiers, you
I'm
know
a
what's
villain.
gonna happen.
So technically, I'm a villain because I took my son, who has explosive, mood disorders and stuff like that, and to give him discipline and order and stuff like that. I put him in martial arts, and I essentially weaponized my son.
It says I'm
You're not a villain.
It makes me
So
sad
I'm a
that
villain.
people don't talk about me.
No, you're a hero that's creating a villain.
My nephew, by the way, was the same way. His mom, my sister, had to send him to come live with me because he was getting violent with her. He couldn't do that shit with me. I mean, he tried, but he landed on his ass repeatedly. But he grew out of it. So there's
You have to get your ass kicked a few times. You kind of like start being like, man. It's like Bill Burr said. It's like Bill Burr said. It's like every time you get your ass kicked, you're always kind of like on the way home. You're like, you know what? I was kind of being a dick back there. I might have deserved it a little bit.
The hot stove teaches best.
But yeah.
True.
Now,
So would you consider the ancient one a hero or just a guy who?
I would consider the ancient one a force of nature.
yeah, it's a plot. He's
All
a
right.
plot device. That's all he is.
Yeah.
It's a plot device. What a person chooses to do,
He's
whether they're
a man.
using
He's
his
going to
flaw
execute a villain.
makes them the hero or the villain.
Right.
It's that simple. You can be convinced thoroughly by outside forces or inside your own head that what you're doing is in your best interest or the right thing, and then go out and do wrong things. But that does not justify it. You chose to be the villain.
All right, we're gonna pause here, and we're gonna do some showing. So first, we have Tanner's. If my mouse will work, Ren. It's currently funding on Fund My Comic. The link is down in the description below. And should I play the trailer?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
If it's there.
Volume.
Purple space elves, man. With big guns.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
So,
Now, since we were talking about villains and stuff, would Vampirella be a villain? She's the hero of her story, but she has to do terrible things like drink blood from people.
Well,
They're usually bad people.
that goes
But she do
into
heroic things.
that goes
To
into
be a hero, you have to do heroic things.
she's the protagonist of her story, even if she's not the hero.
Yeah. She's definitely the protagonist, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Except for the first 3 issues where she's the horror hostess.
I
all
mean,
right.
was Conan the hero when he just showed up in a tavern somewhere and gets drunk and beats everybody's ass in the place and steals all their women?
No,
Well,
it's what-
Always the,
What's
Either-
best in life?
we would call that just being an asshole.
he was always the hero, the conqueror, the bad guy, good guy. He was always that. You know. That was the cool thing about comics back in the day. You could see it from both sides of the story.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's-
I mean,
that's
some
good
people looked at it like, "Oh shit, man, he's a bad dude, bad person," and other people looked at it like, "Ah, he's kicking everybody's ass." You know what I mean? And it's like it appealed to both audiences. It appealed to both audiences. The people that wanted to see him as a villain and the people that wanted to see him as a hero. You caught them both with one hook. That's why Elektra was cool in the beginning.
She's a vampire. She's villainous by nature.
That's why Vampirella was cool. You know, I mean, appeals to both sides. Some people want to see her as the hero and cheer her on. And other people, you know, man, that's bad.
Speaking of vampires, there's one other vampire. I'm not sure if anyone remembers. There was a vampire called named Bloodrayan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Her story is, well, I'm not going to get into the video of how she came to what she did. But let's just say a vampire did a thing with her mother, and then pretty much killed any other family that she had, and now she's out for revenge by killing any sibling and of her that was from her father.
You're not immortal.
Now would you call her a villain?
The same claim. And they've all died on the edge of my sword. You're not a race. You're a sexually transmitted disease. I love Blade's take on vampires. Love it.
And here's Docs. So I don't have anyone's trailer, so I'm going to be playing these trailers on our campaigns. I've already backed. If you have not backed Pride, Blood, and Mud, please do so.
It's in demand now over on Indigo.
It's in demand right now, and I was the second one that backed, and Pops was the first. We've been waiting for this about a year, and and it's finally coming.
Doc's not getting me for a third time. I've already backed the book twice.
So let's play the video.
He was giving out sketch cards.
So let's play the video real quick.
Revenge, the sweetest morsel to the mouth that ever was cooked in hell.
Look at her. She's so pretty.
I can't wait to get the book on read.
Uh-oh.
Headbanging. Headbanging.
Doesn't matter what you say or the action that you take. This is not without your will for the problems that you made. You're the man that just out the paranoid legions all around you. Just the things you cannot change in the darkness that's inside you.
Back it today. If you haven't backed it yet.
It's just a little love story, is what it is. Just a little romance.
I'm sure.
All right, JD Kirby, thanks for tuning in, buddy.
And now, let's see. Max, you said that your book is not in any crowdfunding.
It finished Tuesday at 7 p.m. I was on RJ's show.
Yep. It's good stuff.
So, which will leave me. Crystal Legends has gotten another backer, but we need to speed. We need to kind of speed this up.
We need to now. Don't stop it. No, don't stop it. Now, don't stop it. No.
So, another thing. So keep in mind that these are concepts. These have not been made yet. But I decided to go ahead and put them on here in case anyone wants to back them. And when they back them, then they will be made. And that is the Bullcat hat and mug.
Nice.
So again, these are concepts.
Where did you get the black mug with the red interiors? Because I was looking for one of those for a long time.
All right, so there was a site I found that had that thing going. I can't find it anymore. I don't know where it is.
Amazon, just search black mug red interior.
Yeah, and I was wondering if Doc's friend can do something like that to where it has the red interior on it.
Well, she doesn't make the mugs, but she can print on the mugs you give her.
Gotcha. So would I have to ship her the mugs?
Yeah, or you can ship them to me and I'll walk them over there.
All right.
What I'm doing, Stephen, is I sold 6 of the black mugs, none of the white ones. So I'm just going to order a dozen white, dozen black. I'll get those from Amazon. I'll walk them over there. I'll have her print all of them up. And I'll just keep them up on the website, and keep
Yep.
selling.
All right. So, so both the mug and the hat are $25. Uh, I don't know what would be appropriate price. That was just kind of a best guess on that.
I don't even know what mine are selling for.
I'm hoping I can get the hats embroidered.
Again,
That'd be super sick if they were embroidered. But that stuff's expensive to get embroidery
It
done.
is, and I'm still researching.
so, Stephen,
Yes,
if it matters, I'm selling mine for $15.
for 15.
That covers the cost of the mug, the shipping, plus the printing.
Okay, so
But at the same time, I'm not telling you because
Yeah.
I bought a Teespring mug for my buddy that does one of the narrow boats, and his were like $23.
I guess it all really depends on how much the mug itself costs.
I think if you're going to get one of those dual colored ones like that, then that's a good fair price for it.
Yeah, I mean
What's
that's
the 25?
more. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more expensive to get the dual colored mugs. I mean, like if you go get a white one, you could probably buy a dozen white mugs for just a couple bucks on
Yeah.
Amazon.
But we'll get with me, when you make up your mind, and we'll talk
Yeah.
logistics.
And for the hats, unfortunately, I tried to do the voting on YouTube. I tried it on Twitter, and they both went 50%. So I ended up flipping a coin, and they're gonna be snapback.
There you go.
All right. One other thing. If you're all if any of you are going to Florida on August 19th, I gotta show you something. First, get that out, and in bigamy. All right. Hopefully I didn't knock you all out or anything like that. All right, so I'm going to be showing a card. I'm going to be at a convention where I'll be selling stuff.
Heck yeah.
It'll be at Osceola Heritage Park. There's the address. If
They
you
pay
all-
Nintendo to use that Mario?
I don't know. And it's
Because
gonna
Nintendo is litigious.
and it's gonna be at August 19th, 2023. So if you want to come by and say hi, I will have a booth right there.
All right.
In the thick of the heat, you can go inside and hang out with Steven.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Air conditioning.
So, first of all, what do y'all think of this little bit of a change? Of me doing something like this, other than a draw stream.
Oh, I enjoyed it very much, Steve.
Yeah, I had a good time.
I mean, as
So-
long as there's a good topic to talk about, you're good to go. You don't have to do it all the time, but when you got a good topic, use the good topic, and let the conversation meander a bit, and then pull it back.
Yeah.
You know, you did a good job.
Good show, Steve.
Oh. Since I got positive viewpoint on this, I'm going to be doing more of this stuff. And don't worry. I'm still doing the draw streams. I'll still do them on other times. I mean, come on. I'm doing them on Saturday. Wait, I'm still in Biggin. I don't want to be alone. There we go. I'm still doing them on Saturday night at 7 p.m. on Pops' channel.
On the Madness Comic Network. Yes.
And I'll still do them on other days on my own channel.
Come on. Nobody wants to look at that mug for more than a second.
So, and this is the first time I'm doing this. We're gonna go around the table and ask everyone, where can we find you and what are you working on? So the first one up is the first one who came in here.
All right. I'm Tanner Hurley. I'm with Apothic Press. I can be found at apothicpress.com. I can be found on social media, all of them. Just look up Apothic Press. Currently working on Ren and Electric, Agent of Helix. So, go out there, check us out, and support us.
All right. Now, Max.
I'm Max DeVille. You want to find me? You can find me at atrocitypress.com. We have all of our social media links there. We've got everything that you want to get in touch with us. You want to buy your merch there. You want to buy digitals. We'll have physicals up pretty soon on the store. And then we are currently getting ready to release Ninja Bimbos versus Zombies from Deep Space issue number 3 on Kickstarter at the first week of July.
Nice.
And there's no such thing as a bad book from Atrocity Press.
Now, what are you, Bob? Yep.
Madness Comic Network on YouTube. Madness Comic Network on Twitch, Madness Comic on Twitter, and the Comic Related Madness on Facebook. And you can find like 40 weekly shows, all kinds of programming. In just a couple hours, we'll be kicking off a new show with Manicore. See him over there in the chat. We got Reality Gaming with Manicore. He's going to do video games. Totally different thing for us. Something totally new. First time on the network. Looking forward to it.
Manicore, drop your link for that channel.
Yeah, everywhere.
So I can subscribe, and I'm going to lurk and work.
And now,
the doctor is in, baby. I am Doc Blaylock, the writer, artist, and creator of Pariah Trilogy, Pariah Blood and Mud, Pariah Sanctum of Hate, and Pariah Garden of Malice. Also, the upcoming noir book, A Damn Dirty Thing, coming soon. I've been making art professionally for 40 years, so I deliver. I'm the only Doc Blaylock there is. Find me on YouTube. Find me over on the Twitter. If you can't find me there, you didn't try hard enough.
and you all know who I am. And again, I forgot to mention this. I need help to get more exposure. So if anyone knows a channel that I can appear on to talk about Crystal Legends or any other books I'm working on, which right now I'm working on Crystal Legends. I'm working on a book in the background. If you know a channel, tell them about me or let me know. So, and there's Manicore with the Reality Gaming.
No, it means put your link to your channel too, not just the network channel. Don't be trying to build your channel up too, Manny. So
There it
make sure
is.
you put yours up there too.
There it is.
There we go.
All right, let me go click on that and make sure. I think I'm already subbed to you, Manny, but I want to make sure.
Y'all sub to Stephen B's channel, man. This dude should have been over 100 subs a long fucking time ago.
Already have.
No, Stephen B's is like 62, dude. He should be like
I'm sure.
way up there. I mean, a whole bunch of people, you know. He should have a lot more people subbing to his channel. He's out here putting out content for people. A lot of people watch. You know, I was just talking to Manny about that. It's like you get 75% of your viewers that aren't even subscribed to your channel. If you go look at your analytics, good portion of the people watching your show aren't even subscribed to your channel. It's like, come on, people, hit the damn button. You don't even have to ring the bell. Just subscribe to the channel. It helps us,
We just want to be noticed.
you know.
Notice me, senpai.
We try to
And Manticore dropped another one, and he says that is him.
All right, I have subscribed. I have rung the bell for all notifications.
And I will do the same thing.
That's how we do it.
Manicore, just so you know, I was thinking about you last night, and I said to myself, I said, Self, go watch Crocodile Dundee. So,
I want to stick my thumb in Zago now.
So,
Barramundi a big fish.
Crikey.
so,
All right.
so to end the show, everyone, I'm gonna say I want to thank the chat for joining me on this. I want to thank my panel for giving me company and for and for putting their input on the topic.
Thanks for the invite, bro.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having
You're all always welcome, and it'd be great if you are regulars on the show. This has been a comic topic talk. I need to change that. And everyone, keep drawing, keep having fun. Hail Comicsgate, and until next time, I will see you later.
Don't run off, you bozos. Backstage.